say, well, you know, I practice this thing. How do I use it on a gig? I don't know if that ever occurred to you. If you ever practice a thing, how do you use it on a gig? The answer is you're not supposed to use it on a gig. You never were supposed to use it on a gig. If I sit and I go, there isn't a gig that I can think of where that's usable. You follow? So why do we practice these things? We practice them because they're musically enlightening. That's it. Literally, that's it. You practice them so that you can learn this instrument, or your drums, the paradiddles, or your guitar, or the notes, all that you do it for. And the only reason you do it is so you can be a better guitar player, period. It's a non-brainer. It's a no-brainer because the idea is that these things aren't applicable, scales aren't usable. Now here's a guy, listen a second. He can play this, but if I told him to play 1/2 step sharp, he'd be lost. And it's a sabotage, because it's a musical sabotage. Musical sabotage us all, which is why I want you to learn it. So that's the reason why, you know, who uses metronomes, by the way? Go back to the metronome. Who practices with one? Most of you guys? Some of you guys? Okay, here's a quick question, just as a thought. Name anything that's learned in time and tell me what it is, in any subject. Actually, think about it for a minute, and then we can proceed onward. Name anything that's learned in time. Anybody? Learned in time. Say again? Anybody? Isn't that kind of interesting? You know what that is? We can't think of anything that's learned in time. Check it out. You don't swim in time. You don't learn how to. You don't even learn how to drive in time. A car. I mean, there's a certain tempo to drive it. So if we don't learn anything that's in time, why is music the one thing that's learned in time? Please,
I understand not using a metronome, relying on the metronome. Same thing with drum machines or click tracks. People tend to rely on it to keep the time for them, and they don't learn their own groove. But I'm not sure why you're opposed to using metronome occasionally as a tool. For example, if you're a songwriter, sometimes you write a song and you kind of get used to things feeling a certain way, and the metronome it lines you up. It's like, you've been pushing this part, you've been dragging that part. Use the metronome to kind of straighten yourself out, and then you get away from it.
Because that's art, that's not learning.
How so?
Because you've created an artful event. If you didn't have the metronome, let's say, to line up your stuff, what are you learning? What are you discovering by putting a metronome on that helps you in your songwriting situation?
Well, you're learning that one section you might be naturally pushing it and it feels right to you. But
oh, I see. You're talking about as a player? You're talking about as a player that you'll be pushing the time?
Well, you want to get a sense of how everything falls in perfect time. Not that you're going to rely on the perfect time, but again, just use it as a tool.
On a gig?
No, just when you're working something out.
Why?
Why is what?
Why do you need to know that it's in perfect time when you're working something out?
So you don't fall into a habit of just pushing a certain part, so then when you go to record it or you go to perform it, you don't fall back into that habit.
And that's art. Here, come on up for a second, grab my bass. No, do it. I'd like you to do this, because I have an...
You're really putting it on the spot.
No, I do this with people.